This crowd comes to now have on this Western Shula tonight. The line of yeah, man, it's Jim.
It's a backpass with Ross on the mic. Talking for these stories, keeping vibes real tight. Legends and laughter, you know the drill. Backpass with Ride, football, better and chill. From SG to the region, we cover the game. Big names, small clubs, the passion's the same. Stories from the pitch and the ones untold. Backpass with Ride, where the beautiful game unfolds.
Welcome to Backpass with Ras, with your host Ras, and I hope you are all hale and hearty wherever you are listening and watching this episode. So on this episode, we have got a guest. We have seen him before on our TV screens. We've heard him before commentating on matches. It is the unforgettable, the unmistakable voice of Mr. Dez Corkhill. How are you doing, Des?
Thanks very much, Raz. Hale and hearty. It makes you a bit older than you look, fella. But, all good here. All good. Just back from covering a game in Johor last night, Asian Champions League Elite, where Johor are looking the business. They've spent a lot of money, but my word, they're spending it well.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. And what are you doing nowadays, actually? There's been a long time since we heard from you.
Well, I've been in the business in Southeast Asia for 25 years. So now I'm focusing on commentary. I'm doing a lot of world feed commentaries for a number of clients, but I'm also going into broadcast training. I've got an event coming up with the elite coaches course at the Football Association Malaysia. I've got that coming up next week, but it's predominantly commentary with a bit of training just to make sure I can pay the mortgage.
Okay. And you're based in Malaysia right now?
Yes, yeah. I've been based in Southeast Asia, Singapore and Malaysia for a long time. I'm still a Singapore PR, which is very good. So I'm a regular visitor down there. But most of my work is Kuala Lumpur friendly. I fly out a lot. I do a lot of traveling. But yeah, I'm based in Malaysia. I have been for about 10 years.
Okay, on that point as well, you said you've been in Southeast Asia for 25 years. Is that the first port of call in Asia, or were you somewhere else in Asia previously?
No. I got the call. I was working in London for IMG, or Premier League Productions, as you know them better. And I got the call to come and work for ESPN and Star Sports back in 2000. And I landed on 1st of April 2000. I remember it well. And that was part of ESPN Star Sports dominated the sports broadcast world. We had rights for the English Premier League and for cricket. And my particular work was producing Sports Centre and a little bit of Formula One. And we were going pan-Asia, China, India, everywhere. It was before the breakup of the broadcast world. But no, they were rich times, literally and for work. ESPN Star in the early 2000s.
Okay, so that's year 2000. How did this come about? How did this opportunity come about?
I'd been working for IMG on an international version of Sports Centre. So, I'd been managing it, but we were doing this out of London. And we always thought it was a little bit bizarre to be trying to do international sport, Asia-specific sport out of London. Asia itself is huge. You've got West Asia and East Asia, South Asia and Southeast Asia are completely different things altogether. And eventually the decision was made to regionalise it. Even then, Singapore was the region, the base for. We did a version for India. We did a version for Taiwan, or Chinese Taipei, however politically we should say it. We did a version for Hong Kong. Eventually, we did one for Malaysia, and we did one out of Singapore for Asia as well, which was football centric predominantly. So that was my first job, to come in, put those teams together, manage Sports Centre. That was a sports news, half-hour sports news show at the end of every day, but doing it for 5 different regions, with the cricket-centric India, with football-centric Southeast Asia, baseball-centric in Chinese Taipei, as well as the different languages. We had Cantonese, we had Mandarin, we had Hindi, we had English. It was exciting times, and all for the love of sport.
Yeah, and when you arrived in Singapore, what were some of the challenges you faced living here and as well as working?
Singapore was great. Singapore was very welcoming. Also, ESPN Star Sports, they were they were brothers in arms then. They were wonderful employers. They made life very easy. They put me up in a hotel for a while. You have to work hard. Of course you do. You've got to produce, literally and metaphorically for me. But I found living in Singapore wonderful, largely because it's so disciplined. Everything happens. It might be a little bit more expensive than the rest of Asia, as I'm discovering, but everything works. You ask for something to be done, the person comes in on time. It was wonderfully organized, and the people at ESPN Star Sports as well. We had a mix of expats and locals, and everything was hunky-dory. I've really got zero complaints about my time living in Singapore, and that's a very, very small island that can get a little bit claustrophobic. But that's the only complaint I've got about the place. It's I loved my time there.
Okay, I'll be interested to know, once you shifted out of the hotel, where do you go and stay?
I ran to a Wickley Road area was my first place. And then I got married, and we bought a place together again in that kind of Serangoon area. That's where ESPN and Fox were based in those early days. So I'm a Serangoon boy. I'm a boy of Serangoon Gardens, and I look back on that as kind of my home from home in Singapore.
Okay, that's not too far from where I live in Singapore. I'm a Hougang boy.
Hougang boy. Again, that was my kind of local football team at the time. Or what were they? They were Marine
Castle.
Marine Castle they were at that time, and then they became Sengkang. So I used to
yes.
I used to follow the S.E.A. I mean, that's one of the things that didn't kind of get me into trouble. But I was always a bit concerned that ESPN Star didn't really focus on the local game. I'm thinking, we're here. Why wouldn't we? And particularly when I'd take the trips up to Malaysia to watch the passion that I was seeing in the Malaysian League. And the Singapore League was quite vibrant then. I was a little bit involved with Geylang United for a season or two under Scotty O'Donnell. Home United, of course, Steve Darby is born just down the road from me. And I often get mixed up for him. People still say, hello, Steve, to me, which
yes,
I always say, hello, no problem. So I was doing international sport, but very early on, I was passionate about the local game. I played NFL football down there. And then when I got too old to play, I started putting some attention into creating some local football. Football Crazy wasn't my idea, but there was a lot of local content within Football Crazy. And I had an influence on that. I'm not claiming Football Crazy. That was a genius idea of its own. It kind of developed from there. But all the while, international sport. But my interest was local sport. Yes,
I would have to say that when I listened to you in all those years in ESPN and Star Sports, I always recognize you to be someone who's very deeply passionate about Asian football, and it comes through to us as viewers.
The reason for that is I'm born and bred in Liverpool, which is great. Everyone says, "Oh, you're a Liverpool fan." Yes, I am. But the reason Liverpool is known around the globe is because of its football and the Beatles.
Yes.
And so sport has this wonderful way of being able to be a conversation starter at the very, very least, to identify yourself as that's where I'm from. And it just gets the conversation going. And obviously I'm proud of being from Liverpool. Liverpool's got its problems, though. It's got its economic challenges even now. And as the Premier League has got bigger, it's like this big spaceship has just been located into a relatively poor part of Western Europe. So I'm always amazed that there isn't more passion from local people for their local sport, because it's a great way to get your message across. We're seeing it with Johor at the moment, just over the causeway from you. They are using sport, not making money on sport, but using sport to showcase Johor to the rest of Asia and the rest of the world. And I always feel that we miss out so much in Southeast Asia, particularly by really not having the infrastructure, the depth of sport, to be able to actually take it to the rest of the world and showcase. Because it's a great way to start conversations and to get conversations about England, the north of England, the difference between the north and the south, and about Singapore and the difference between Singapore and Malaysia, etc. And sport is such a wonderful conduit to do that.
And interesting to note as well, you don't have the Scouse accent.
It doesn't travel well. I can put it on if you really want. I can talk like that, but I left Liverpool 40 years ago. When I left Liverpool, it was going through devastating times. It was a managed decline under the government. There was very, very few jobs. And so I got out of Liverpool because there was no work to do. I've tried to get back a couple of times subsequently, but there's nothing really there, not in my industry. So glad to say that the docks in Liverpool has improved dramatically. But I'm from a family of 5 kids, and none of us live on Merseyside anymore. I've got very, very few links, other than a season ticket at Anfield, but very, very few links with the city where I was born and brought up, which is very sad.
All right. So your siblings are all over the world?
One in United Arab Emirates, and the rest spread across England, literally from the far northeast right the way down to Cornwall. So it's rather spread out. Zoom, wow, what an invention for family reunions! I tell you,
the brilliant invention, especially came to fruition during the COVID times, especially. I would say that. Yeah.
Yes, and we've carried it on. We have regular family conferences, and it's wonderful. Again, it's like my industry. The technology has changed beyond recognition. We can do this. When I started in the industry, literally tapes were 2 inches thick, and you had to carry them on your shoulder, and you spliced them, and your audio and your sound had to work, and it was a very manual, hands-on job. And now you can see some of the kids and some of the technology that's there. They're editing, they're cutting, they're monitoring, they're logging at the same time. They're doing audio transitions and recording something simultaneously. It's chalk and cheese, the technology in my industry.
And you spoke a bit about the roles that you served in ESPN Star Sports. Producer of Sports Center, we love the show because we got all the latest news as well on it. And if I'm not wrong, ESPN Star Sports carried the rights for the Champions League as well.
Yes, we did.
As well.
Yeah, we did. We had some S.E.A. That was a memorable commentary. One of those. One of the problems of remote commentary. I'll talk about that later. But we had everything. We had English Premier League, of course. Yeah. We had a lot of cricket. Cricket became a bigger focus for ESPN Star as the years went on because that India market grew, and I give the management at ESPN Star huge kudos for the way they were able to help grow the sport of cricket. Now it's into the billion-dollar business that it is. The IPL was a result of a lot of the work that ESPN Star did with cricket. What else did I do? The commentary, the Asian Champions League came in. I also produced and created a local show about local sport, The Top Corner, which was literally I'd go out with a camera shoot, or one of my news crew would go out and they'd be there for a shoot, and I'd say, "You stay, you get highlights of a goal," and we turned that into a show that did very, very well. It cost very little money, and it was great just to see a sample of what was going on around the region.
Okay, just walk us behind the scenes now to show us, bring us through a typical day for Dez Corkhill at ESPN Star Sports. What would you do?
Oh gosh, it depends when, because it did change. But let's take us through the news, because after the news, I moved on to a website, espnstar.com, and I was also one of the first people to get into telephones, as in digital imagery. In 2006, I launched ESPN Mobile on the back of the World Cup. But for the first 5 or 6 years, it was a case of developing the Sports Center team. And we had 5 teams. We'd have an early shift because there was a lot of overnight news coming in. We'd have an early shift of maybe 3 people turning around highlight, just putting packages together, which there was no website in those days, but we'd prep ready for an early afternoon version of Sports Center, just a little news show called Sportsline. And then the teams had come in. So we were staggering our times. I think the India team would come in midday because their show went on at 5:30 our time, 8 in India. And then the Taiwanese team had come in. Then the Hong Kong team had come in. Then the Asia team had come in, because we'd do programs at 7:30 and 11. And you're just constantly churning highlights coming in, doing logging of games that are coming on, sending out a couple of camera crews. We had, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4 camera crews from around the region. Somebody in Delhi, somebody in Hong Kong, somebody in Kaohsiung and Taipei as well. and you're just coordinating all of that content. By this time, I was doing some commentary, but I was managing these teams. I recruited them and managed them, and we got a great reaction. To be fair, I was really very, very proud of what the teams did for SportsCentre. I regard that as one of the highlights of my career.
Do you recruit the host as well?
Yeah. Jason was at CNN, and we recruited Jason Dacey. He was for a long time. Steve Dawson, we picked up from local television. Colette was already there, but I made sure that she was on my team. Colette Wong, who's still doing fantastic work, as Steve Dawson. I think Steve's still doing training in Singapore. Colette, I'm still seeing at AFC events. We also recruited Indian hosts. There's a lady called Poonam Sharma who lives in Singapore now. But so we brought even the Indian hosts came to live and work in Singapore. She was a gem. So yes, I recruited the majority of the hosts. Some were foisted upon me, which is the case. You rarely in media have a chance to select your own team. It's like any sport. You rarely have a chance to completely select your own team. But no, I had a lot of things going my way in the early stages, and some of these people have gone on to great things, really good things.
And when you select this host, what are some of the criteria you look out for?
Do they know sport? Do they like sport? Do they care about sport? So the CVs had come in, and there'd be all kinds of fantastic business school and media degrees, and you come in, and I swear, without a word of a lie, there must have been 50 or 60 occasions where the person's come in over the years. The person's come in, and my first question has been, "Do you like sport?" And they've kind of looked at me. So, what's that got to do with it? Well, you're here to be a sports host. The ones who got the job were the ones who were passionate about the sport, who lived it, who would care about it, who would follow a team, and then have to try to keep their allegiances down. But it's all about sport. Obviously, they need to be able to speak. They need to write, because everyone writes their own links and writes their own scripts as well. Yeah. But a basic understanding and passion for sport, it's so important. If you're not passionate about what you're trying to tell to people, gosh, how are you meant to get the message out? So yeah, that's the number one criteria. Do you love your sport? Prove it to me. Talk sport to me for 20 minutes. And they did.
Ah, nice. So if today ESPN Star Sports was around and I came in as a prospective host, would you select me?
Talk sport to me for 20 minutes.
Off air, we'll talk about it.
So many people wanted to come in, but there were a lot of people who came and tried.
Yeah, on our show we've had one of probably, I would say he's one of the pundits who's been a pundit on the ESPN Star Sports, ESPN Star Sports network, Mr. Antonio Codinac.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Remember him?
Yes.
Yeah. So talking about that, now you were also doing hosting as well, right, for some shows and punditry.
Yeah, it was kind of secondary to what I was doing. I was mainly at the shock jock for SportsCentre. I mostly believed what I said, but basically I was there to try to add a little bit of colour to the pictures and a little bit of opinion. So that was predominantly on SportsCentre, and that got me some invites to work on one or two other shows. I became more of a face on television when I came up to Asia to work. We helped set up Astro Arena. I was one of the pioneers of Astro Arena, which is the sports channel. And they've also got Astro Super Sports, which had English Premier League. And I became a pundit on a lot of shows there, actually. I was kind of strategically placed to try to upset people. And I enjoyed it very much. With honest opinions, with opinions about sport that maybe in Southeast Asia in particular that people are reluctant to say, because generally people are modest over here and don't like to push, don't like to cause too much trouble.
Don't like to flaunt themselves.
Correct.
Okay, we remember John Dykes to be we're talking about football now. Football host John Dykes is just synonymous.
Yeah.
No one else. No one else but John Dykes. But in terms of pundits, who are some of the best pundits that you have seen in your time at ESPN Star Sports?
So I was literally situated next to where the football pundits are. So obviously the Chevy, Steve McMahon days were phenomenal. Their arguments would go on in the green room, or they'd start in the green room. What you saw in the show was literally just an extension of what they've been talking about in the green room, and what would carry on as they came out of the studio as well. So Chevy, the late Chevy, God rest his soul. So he was wonderful. Again, he was a local face, which I always thought was so important. McMahon had the credibility. So again, he's from Liverpool. He was born not too far away from me, so I rather enjoyed that Liverpool centric thing. But Paul Macefield was excellent. He could play off both ways, and Jamie Reeves was just Mr. Sensible, rock solid. And I think that particular show worked because Dykesy, what a pro. A sensational pro. You never knew. Even now, I'm not quite sure I know who he supports. I think it's Ipswich. But he was just the perfect conduit to set Chevy up against Macca and to bring Mace in at the right time. And Jamie, they're fighting, calm things down a little bit. And he was just fantastic at that. Also as a host on all the English Premier League shows and many other shows. He's a multi-talented boy, John. I think he's doing a bit of commentary and training himself at the moment. But fantastic. Great days for ESPN Star Sports, and it's amazing. Even now, people remember those Chevy Macca conversations.
Yeah, and did he ever get too far between the two of them?
McMahon can be a little bit feisty. He doesn't like backing down, and Chevy. Chevy,
he doesn't. I know
he doesn't like to back down. So it never got to fisticuffs, but shouting matches galore, just wonderful. Oh, in a good way.
Off-air, I believe.
Off-air football shouting matches. You don't know what you're doing, Chevy. What did you ever do? I won 100 caps for Malaysia, but what does that kind of count? So wonderful stuff, and very enjoyable to observe and to watch.
Yeah. Well, we miss Chevy a lot.
Yes.
So may God rest his soul. He was on our show as well. We did speak about this briefly, but not in great detail. And thanks for sharing the insight, because he didn't mention about this. About this getting a bit too hot. Anything funny or crazy that you remember from those times? While on air, or something happened off air?
No, as a television company, it was incredibly professional. We took it very seriously. It was a lot of fun to do. It was hard work as well, but heck, we're being asked to work on sport day in, day out. Short answer is no. Nothing you could say that there was terrifyingly funny. I mean, there's cameramen tripping over cables and stuff, which is funny, but not to a general audience. There's auto cues going down and people saying things that they shouldn't do, or missing beats. But no, it was television funny, but I don't think there's anything laugh out loud funny that sport is, because it was a very professional organization, the ESPN Star Sports, and later Star, when they moved up to away from the where were we originally? Near the Serangoon area.
Nising.
Yes.
Nising, right? Yeah.
Gosh, it's many years ago now. I'm digging into the memory bank here. This is 20 years plus.
Yeah, 2000 is 25 years ago now. It's been 25 years. It is crazy whenever I sometimes sit down and think about it. I was 16 years old in 2000.
One of my bugbears, when somebody like you comes up and you say, "Hey, Dez," and Andy Penders, who I know very well, he has exactly the same, and I think Dykesy does as well. Somebody says, "When I was a kid, I used to watch you all the time." Gee, do you know how old that makes me feel? Do you know how bad that makes me feel? So you bump yourself up. Thank you very much indeed. That makes me feel great.
Sorry about that. I shouldn't be doing that, but I had to share my share of the memories as well.
Hey, we take the compliment very much so, but it just means we're getting older. Just means we're getting older.
Yeah, so are we. Have you ever been in a situation, and now I know you support Liverpool, but back in those days, Liverpool weren't doing that great. Have you ever been in a situation where, you found it a bit hard to compartmentalize your feeling towards Liverpool and be professional on the show or while producing?
So Liverpool's worst ever season in the top flight is 8th. I don't think that's having a problem. I don't think that's relegation issues. It takes, because of the time difference, and if you're watching the games, you've got to persuade yourself pretty much to get up to watch a game at 3:00 in the morning. So in the dark days of I don't know, even Gillette and Hicks in 2010 or so, it was less inspiring to get up to watch a 3:00 in the morning game. But yeah, I still do. I still manage it, and I still suffer the following day. In fact, I suffer a lot more. But no, Liverpool is where I'm from. They are my team. I support them because my father had a ticket for the Liverpool derby in September 1963. And I was born about 2:00 in the afternoon on the Saturday of that game. And he had a ticket and he couldn't go. So I'm told that he was down at the bottom of our garden gate trying to offload this ticket. And they were like gold dust in those days, real gold dust. And eventually he got rid of it. But I was born on Derby Day 1963. And my dad was a Liverpool fan. So I had to be a Liverpool fan. Everton were the team at that stage. Liverpool had just been promoted. So it's not like it was glory hunting, not like many Man United fans and etc.
Hey, don't get that. Don't get that. Okay.
So yeah, it's always been my team, and I'm amazed. I'm still amazed that I live thousands of miles away from where I was born, and people know more about my football club than I do. I think it's a shame, because I wish they knew more about their own clubs. I understand, the longer I've spent here, the more I understand why there isn't the passion for the local game. But I'm still very proud to be from where I'm from.
Yeah, that was actually my question to you. When you came in here, were you surprised to see so many fans of English league teams, or even European teams for that matter? And when it came to World Cups, you had many adopted fans of different national teams that weren't theirs. They were not linked either through ancestry or through descent to these countries, but they supported these countries with passion. Were you surprised?
Utterly amazed. I had no idea. I knew there was an interest. I knew I was coming out to English Premier League, but utterly amazed. The one that stuck with me, and I get angry, but I'm also mesmerized by it. I did a commentary. Malaysia played Liverpool in one of these pre-season tours where the English clubs come out and a lot of money is spent on them. And I went to the game, and I'm very proud supporting Liverpool. And John Barnes is alongside me, which is fantastic. That's wonderful. So he's my colour commentator. And the crowd were all in red. This is the Malaysia national team, and the crowd are all in red. Many people told me, listen, they had the yellow shirts on underneath, but it was 80% red. And I just I still do not understand that. Again, Liverpool, I think Liverpool played in Singapore 2001 in the old National Stadium in Kallang. Yeah. Similar scenario, except it didn't quite register me that the red was not for Singapore, it was for Liverpool, in those days. So yeah, was I astonished? Am I still astonished? Yes. It sometimes grates on me a little bit, but again, as I say, the longer I've been here, the more I understand how it's difficult to get truly behind your home teams or your home country with the same passion. So yeah, I kind of embrace it, but it still bamboozles me, and I still tell people at back home in the UK, they don't understand, they don't really see.
Yeah, people in England and in Europe probably wouldn't understand the passion we have, waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning to watch our favorite teams play, sacrificing sleep, stuff like that. And a lot of times we get labeled as glory hunters or tourist fans.
Tourist is the word. Yeah, tourists. Yeah. Have you had a chance to go to, you're a United fan, yeah?
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to go to Old Trafford?
I've not had a chance yet.
Okay. So, but it's on your bucket list, yeah?
100%.
Would you know the songs? Would you join in the atmosphere? or would you be taking the camera along, and would you be buying a half and half scarf?
No half and half scarves. Camera probably a bit, but not. Now when you watch matches, I look at fans, the tourist fans, and they're there filming every single thing. I want to just sit there and taking the atmosphere like how I do at home. When I'm so at the edge of my seat, following every action on the pitch, like as if I'm there playing the game. So I want to do the same thing when I'm there at Old Trafford.
So this is one of the slight bugbears I've got, and I'm using you as a case in point. The taking in the atmosphere. The atmosphere has got to be created, and that's by knowing the songs. It's by knowing the situation. It's by knowing when to sing. Not ultra like where they're going singing the whole time. No. When's the right time? When do the team need? When do they need support? And I think the tourist bit, the clubs love it because you'll go and spend a lot more in the club shop than I would. You'd be happy to pay a lot more for a ticket than I would. So the clubs are happy, but to me it's a shame because it does dilute the atmosphere. You see it at Anfield, you see it at Old Trafford. Very, very often. And it's a problem, I think, that somehow needs to be
managed,
fixed. Because otherwise, one of the big attractions of the English Premier League is the proximity of the crowd.
Yeah.
And is the atmosphere productions from what the broadcasters do in the UK. And that's been brought around the world as well. But it was them who started it. And I do worry in the English game that we're losing that. We're losing the youth immediately because of the cost of going to a game. Again, the clubs are very, very happy that the dollars make a big difference. I just wish, and it's a long-term wish, and I doubt it'll come in my lifetime, but I wish we could have the same passion for the local clubs. I wish 10,000 to turn up to see Lion City Sailors when they made the cup final last year. The lack of real passion for them for making an Asian final. You've got the ultras, you've got the diehards, and they're fantastic. But you want more people like that. You want more big occasions for Singaporean, Malaysian, Thai clubs, just to try to get that local affinity back. Because the dangers are coming. You're seeing it already. Is it S.E.A? Sending a S.E.A game out to Perth, Australia?
Yeah.
At least La Liga have postponed for now the chance of playing a game abroad, but it's coming, and all that does, once again, it's like the pre-season friendlies. It just takes money away, takes resource away, takes attention away from the local game.
And actually, it would cost a lot more for the fans to watch the teams play. I would believe, because the ticket prices won't be economical, so you would be paying through your noses to watch those games.
Absolutely. And the problem is that if it's a one-off, it will be full. It will be full.
Yeah. All right. So now you spoke about your time at Astro Arena as well, setting that up. What's the difference between working at ESPN and Astro Arena? So the smile tells me a bit already.
So it's a little causeway between Malaysia and Singapore.
Yeah.
It's two different worlds. It's not the core. It's two different worlds. So it took me a while to get used to the adjustment. Number one is the language. One of my regrets is I didn't learn Bahasa Melayu when I first came up here. In all honesty, I only thought I was going up here for 2, maybe 3 years, set the project up, and then maybe back down to Singapore. But it didn't work out like that. So I didn't learn the language. That's if anyone's listening to this, a foreigner or an expat, learn the language. It just gives you a much better insight into what's going on. So I can't go back and change that. Some of the people here were brilliant. There was a lot more politics here, a lot more politics in the organization I was working with, which made life a little bit difficult. But we got a lot done. We promoted local sport, which is what I came up to do. The main reason I came up was to do the Malaysian Super League because Astro had just won the rights. And this was at the time when Malaysian football was going just on and up. The SEA Games had just been won. the Suzuki Cup as it was then, not the Tiger Cup anymore, not the Mitsubishi Electric Cup, not the ASEAN FIFA Cup. that was just coming through. We injected a chunk of money in, and for 3 or 4 years, I think Malaysian football was really on a high. I wanted to be part of that. As you saw before, I care very much about how local sport works, because I think it can really work. And we put some great new commentators on, great new talent. And some established talent who I recruited from RTM and from TV3, etc. And for 3 or 4 years, that really, well, actually more than that. It's still going now, 15 years on. But for 3, 4, 5 years, I really enjoyed that aspect of Astro Arena, Nadi Arena, which was our sports center equivalent in Bahasa Melayu. And it was terrific. But it was literally like coming to a different planet, not a different country. But you get used to it, and now I'm passionate about Kuala Lumpur. I love living here. I'm down in Johor a lot, and when I go up to Singapore, I'm one of those who's starting to come. That's too expensive down here. However, one thing I will always be on the side of Singapore, and it's a great way to start an argument up here. Whose food is better?
Malaysia.
Singapore's, I say. Singapore's.
I would say Malaysia.
My ex-wife used to be the owner, or the daughter of the owner of famous beef kway teow. So I've got to say that.
Okay.
In Geylang.
You spoke about talent that you recruited at Arena. Who are some of the most talented?
Zan Labadin.
Zain.
So we brought some established people, but we also wanted some young people. And there's a couple in particular. Edlin Ismail was part of the crew who I already knew from Sports Centre days in Malaysia. She came on. One of my favourites though is a lad called Bangmed, Ahmed Sharazad Sani, who's now become a really big name in badminton. He's got his own show, etc. And he's one of those that the players go to. He's a badminton aficionado. He's one of those, when the players make an Olympic final or they make a grand final, they look for him to interview them, because he's got such a way with them. And we found some terrific talent up here. But he's probably my favourite. Basli Azmi is the producer who produces Nadi Arena. What a knowledge, what a depth of knowledge of sport that he's got. So it was great. It was different. I do think if I'd have learned the language, I might have found it a little bit easier to get my message across. I never did feel I got my message across, because here, Malaysia, politics so dominates the sporting landscape, utterly dominates it. And I wanted it to be about the players. I wanted it to be about the fans. I wanted it to be about the coaches. But invariably, in every Nadi Arena, there'll be 2 or 3 spokespeople. The sports minister, whoever he or she is, it's Hannah Yo at the moment, appears at least once in every Nadi Arena. They've never played. They don't know. They don't understand about the sport, and yet they hold the purse strings, and it's important to look after them. So that's one of my frustrations with what I didn't really achieve with Nadi Arena. I didn't think we were sports-centric enough. Although the politics plays such a landscape here, it's difficult to avoid the politics. But Astro Supersport was a different kettle of fish. That's where I really started working as a commentator and as talent, in front of camera talent. And Jason Dacey put me in front of camera on numerous shows. Bowl Up Mamak was the most memorable one, which I still get stopped in the street now. We were literally in a Mamak stall with 5 guests. We'd have guests like Kevin Keegan, John Barnes, everybody who came over to guest at some stage for Supersport. They'd come on to Bowl Up Mamak, and we'd talk football. And there was a lad called the Orangeman and I who used to have fabulous arguments about the pros and cons of Malaysian football. I was the pro-Malaysian boy, and he was the international guy. So it was from that point of view, it was terrific.
Yeah, I always remember whenever we've had like all those AFF Cups and and all these kind of regional tournaments. In terms of commentary, I feel there was a certain kind of bias towards Singapore, and then there was Singapore, and then they will talk a bit good about Thailand or Indonesia and all. But when it's for Malaysia, the only friendly voice I have heard of is you. So as a Malaysian fan, thank you very much.
In the early stages, so the ASEAN Championship, I've loved that since the very, very start. And one of my battles back at ESPN Star Sports days was saying, guys, local sport, this local ASEAN Championship, it's huge. And they just didn't believe me. Then they bought it, and their ratings were massive. And Singapore were doing well because Singapore had gone through the naturalization stage. John Wilkinson, who's a friend and an excellent commentator, by the way, Alexander Juric, etc., had made their mark, and so Singapore were winning. And I was based in Singapore, so I might have had that slight bias. But I was also beginning to just get to know one or two of the Malaysian boys and the Malaysian players. And there's such a passion for the sport here and in Indonesia, which is crazy. But I made a conscious effort to try to learn more about the leagues in both of those countries and the players. And also the fact that one sports centre had camera crews that could send out 4 stories to Persija Jakarta, for example, a Jackmania story. And so I'd learn more about the passion that they've got in Indonesia and in Johor and Selangor and Kelantan, because Kelantan were the big team, and the Boyam. So, that was a great education. Again, sport as an introduction anywhere in the world. Wow. I can go to Terengganu, to Kelantan, you talk football, and you've instantly got a friend.
Yeah. On that note, how's your Malay today?
Sikit-sikit.
Sikit-sikit. Okay. Sikit-sikit lama jadi bukit.
Yeah, that just about. I understand more than I can say. Again, I only came here for 2 years, 15 years ago.
Talking about commentary, you had a very interesting story to tell me about S.E.A. It's one of my favorite leagues. I'm a big fan of S.E.A, so tell me about it.
Okay, so commentary, it's a skill. Ideally, your commentator is on site. Ideally, your commentator is there because he or she can see substitutions, gets the atmosphere, understands what's going on. Well, I was given this game in S.E.A, must have been 2004, 2005. Palermo taking on, who were they taking on? It was the big the Sicilian derby. And there were all kind of riots going on.
Empoli, is it?
No, not Empoli. I'll dig it out. But it was definitely at Palermo. And there were riots going on, and apparently all kinds of trouble outside the stadium, fights going on. There were flares going up. This is while the match is going on. And so there's a murmur going on. I've got no idea what's going on. I'm concentrating on the game. The players are distracted. They're looking away. They're looking to where the trouble is. The camera, for obvious reasons, isn't focusing on the camera, isn't focusing on the trouble that's going on in the stands. I've got no idea what's going on. It's impossible. I'm thousands of miles away in a studio, focusing on the game. And then when the game stops, the referee calls a halt and tear gas is wafting over the venue. I've still got to talk for 10 minutes, not knowing what's going on. Because again, internet is there, but it's not live internet. So you're not getting live feeds, you're not getting Twitter feeds or X feeds or things. Oh, this is happening. You're completely dark. Yeah. So that was one of the worst commentaries I've done. Sadly, I do seem to recall there was a person killed at that when such was the fighting at the event.
Must have been something like that. Must have happened. I remember in those days, in those years, there were quite a few occasions where there were some hooligans clashing on the way to the games or outside the stadium. This kind of incidents did occur in those days. Yeah.
But so no, that I mean, from a commentary perspective, and I got some real stick for that for not knowing what was going on online. So some feedback is coming back to you, and you kind of got to hold your hand up and go, okay, yeah, right.
Yeah, but to be fair to you, how would you have known?
that doesn't matter to the end viewer. This is one of the things of television. You at home do not give a damn what the circumstances are for the person who's giving you the information, and I think that's something in our industry that we've always got to remember. They think we're there. We're giving the impression that we're there. It may be an economic reason. There could be all kinds of maybe political reasons or whatever why you're not there. But they think the audience think you're there, and ideally you're good enough for them not to have that that thought punctured. And on that occasion, I failed miserably. Okay,
so from your worst, what were some of your best experiences commentating on a match?
I've had hundreds. I love the sport. It's I was good enough to play kind of semi-pro, but not disciplined enough, not tall enough, and too heavy, and not good enough, basically. And so
that's basically everything.
But apart from that, and so the next best thing, not coaching. I think those guys are those guys are nuts, and I'm going to tell the coaches who I'm doing the training course with as well on Monday that I think they're nuts. Because the shelf life of a coach is so short. But the next best thing is broadcast. The next best thing is being close to the players, having the chance to see how they're warming up, what they're doing, what their mood is, etc. And literally hundreds. The Malaysia Cup finals, many of them will long live in the memory. Pahang versus Johor game 10 years ago, that was 2-2. Johor were just on the up. Pahang had a really good team at that time. Passionate fans. Kelantan was always a very, very marvelous experience. One of the best I ever recall, though, was I was at the Senayan in the Gelora Bung Karno. I was with. I wasn't commentating, but I was with the Singapore team doing a feature for news. So me and Dave Roberts went over to the Senayan. And it was the semi-final of the 2004 Tiger Cup or Suzuki Cup. Tiger Cup then. And Daniel Bennett scored a 30-yarder and Singapore won, and the crowd went bonkers. And we were escorted onto the pitch to avoid trouble.
Okay.
But the passion, the tension was just fantastic. So that was a great game. In terms of commentaries, obviously, when the English teams come over, it's nice to commentate on the big European teams. Although I always have a thought saying, you're really hurting what's going on in this part of the world. I've done the Cambodian Cup final, which was a great game in English. Yes, not in Khmer, but in English, which was great fun again to a world tweet. So to answer the question, every game is a thrill because they're doing something. People are doing something to the best of their ability, but it's even better when there's a crowd because you say less because the crowd does the talking for you. A goal goes in, you just say 1-0.
And let the crowd do it.
Let the crowd do the work. Let the natural atmosphere do the work. And we don't get that enough in Southeast Asia, but they're the ones that really send the chills up the back of your spine.
Mm. On that note as well, in terms of commentary, how much of homework do you do before you go and commentate on match?
Loads. But my rule of thumb, so there's people who do pages and pages, and some, you will have seen some of the notes that go out on Twitter. That's a fair reflection. Pre-internet days, it was not easy.
Internet days, yes.
So I've got books and books of old stats and facts and figures from AFC days. So up until around about even as recently as 2009, it wasn't easy to get information. But I would still say, unless I know the teams really well, so I did Johor versus Shanghai Shenhua last night. Johor perhaps isn't a good example because they're buying so many new players at the moment. But I'm doing 3 or 4 hours per team. Pure just research, where they're from, how many games, what their transfer record is, how they performed this year. Is there anything that they've done injury-wise? And similarly, Shanghai Shenhua. Luckily, I'd done a load of work from last year where they played against Johor. They've changed 4 or 5 of their players, but I still have the notes from last year. So it's a good day if you're doing it properly. Sometimes as a commentator, you're thrown into something where commentate, and all you might have is a data feed, and so the key to that is not to say things that you don't know, just to try to set the context up. But if you do have the chance to research for the big game, 3 to 4 hours minimum per team.
Yeah, I had the privilege of speaking to a legendary commentator called John Helm.
Yes.
He shared with me, because I was always very fascinated on how he got the names right of everyone, Asian names, African names, South American names, everyone. He got it right, the pronunciations right. And he shared that he spoke on the phone, he would call the teams up, get the pronunciations right. So those were the work commentators used to do back in the day before internet. And in the local context as well, in Malaysia, there's a legendary commentator called Hasbullah Awang.
Yeah, so I employed Hasbullah. I got him onto my team at Astro Arena.
And he always fascinated me because whenever there was a lull in the game, he managed to share a story about a player, where he was born, who his parents were, how many siblings he had. And that was always very impressive.
So there are certain commentators like that. They're not genuine football nuts, but they're glorious speakers. Hasbullah, I'm so glad you brought him up. I'd forgotten him earlier. Hasbullah, a glorious voice as well. Gosh, who was the guy that we had in Singapore? His boy was at Mediacorp for a long time.
Mark Richmond?
Right, yes, okay.
Richmond, yeah.
Mark's dad, Brian Richmond. So again, he had that same kind of ability to be a raconteur. I think he played a good level as well, Brian. Okay, so he was able to combine the two. That ability to actually be able to weave a story and when it is quiet. But Hasbullah, again, the late Hasbullah. That was very, very sad when he died. But there are some people like that. When I grew up, I listened to a lot of radio. Brian Butler and Peter Jones on BBC Radio. And very often we'd listen like cricket. So you'd watch cricket on the television, and you'd have the radio commentary test match special going on. And so radio was a huge, huge, huge part of how I learned vocabulary, ways to say things, etc. And Brian Jones and Peter Butler were my heroes. And I think they're one of the reasons why I got into this industry. As well as Clive Tildesley, he was on Radio City, local Liverpool radio.
I remember him.
Yeah, so he's only just recently retired as well.
Okay. So those were some really memorable commentators. So what would you make of the present and the future of media?
The industry has changed so much. The viewing habits have changed so much. Kids are getting... One of the things I don't like is that a lot of commentators, if I can keep it to commentators, a lot of commentators are making it about themselves now. The idea of putting a video camera, watching you commentate on something else, it just goes against me. The commentator, it's never about you. All you're doing is trying to reflect, add a little bit of value to what the athletes are doing. It's always about the athlete, or it should always be about the athlete. And so this kind of new trend is kind of disturbing, but I understand it because there's so many people out there and there's so many games. It's difficult for another Martin Tyler to come through. We know Martin Tyler and Barry Davis and John Motson and Brian Moore because there was only one live match a year, or there was only one major live match, and we were brought up on highlights. I was brought up on highlights. And match of the day was, with my watching, I think you had the big game over here. But it'll be one live game and the highlights. And so we get 2 minute highlights, and that's how we brought. I think we're heading back, or we have already headed back to that highlight scenario, which is a problem for those who bought the rights for all of these games, because they've got to show every game and they've got to tell you that the under-17 World Cup is important. It's not. It's an under-17 championship. And it's beautifully packaged, but it's not. But commentators have got to somehow make a space. Personally, I'm thrilled that the 17 Cup is taken so seriously. It's potential work for me. But in terms of, is it real editorial? No, it's not. It's kind of an interest. And that's where I feel that we're going to go back away from showing everything live all the time, because it's unsustainable.
Just
Getting back to more selective and somebody making good editorial choices for you.
Could it be in the future that we will have a Netflix style of broadcasting where people can choose what match they would want to watch?
I'm pretty sure they will. Effectively, you've got that now. Effectively, you have all the matches are broadcast live, and we get them. You can't get them all in the UK, by the way. You can't get the 3 o'clock games, which is great. Of course, you want to get the whole point of television. Football should be using television as a marketing tool. Instead, they're so grateful for the cash that they get from it that they've sold their soul. And what it means that even if the English Premier League and Champions League, most of their games aren't watched. Very, very few people are getting up in the middle of the night to watch Quarterback versus Chelsea. A few are, but very few. Not enough to really warrant the full studio coverage, certainly not in Southeast Asia. Yeah. I've got to keep ahead of the game. They'll see sport as a very good way, because live sport is still the driver. Astro still pay English Premier League as a driver, even though their subscription rates are dropping down quite significantly. But sport is still a driver for any broadcaster or any organisation, streaming or whatever, who wants to stay in the mood. What I am saying is I worked for FIFA for a little bit, and the concept of FIFA Plus. So I was brought on board to try to get FIFA Plus into the minds of sport. What do they call them? The football associations around the region. So leagues that weren't being televised or didn't have a platform, we were looking to put them onto FIFA Plus. I can see FIFA Plus taking over FIFA content. And then I can see the Euro Champions League when it comes, or the Euro Super League when it comes. They take over their content. And then somebody like a Netflix will say, okay, I'll buy 2, which is exactly what happened with Astro. So it's just going to continue. My problem is that the more the big competitions get on, the less room there is for the Singapore Premier League and the Malaysia Super League, and even the very, very good Shopee Cup.
So on that note as well, now you've worn many caps in your professional career. What would you like to be remembered for? Or remembered as?
Remembered as? Gosh, I don't know. Just somebody who, if there's one thing I want, it's I wish the local leagues could sort out their administration. I wish the local leagues could make themselves more attractive somehow. I wish you could get community clubs. I live in PJ, Petaling Jaya. There isn't a football club in Petaling Jaya. There used to be, but even then they played in this big Petaling Jaya stadium. 3,000 at the most turned up to watch them. You want a nice little tight, compact stadium, 4,000 or 5,000. Look at the lower leagues in England. Japan has done it. They've got this huge pyramid going down. Singapore as well. It's more difficult in Singapore because of the land issues. But you still want. I want a team in Sembawang. I want a team in Ishun, playing out of Ishun in a nice little compact arena, 500 or 600. In Singapore, you can sell alcohol, so you can make money as a club if you can afford the land in the first place. But that's the kind of community thing which I really do think we miss so much throughout Asia. So many decisions are political or whatever. Whereas you look into Europe, and the clubs came from the community. And they grew, and suddenly there was a fan base, and then the fan base spawned everything. And so it came from the bottom up, not from the top down, not somebody saying, our national team isn't good enough. Of course your national team's not good enough. You've got 7 professional teams, and you're paying $1,500, $2,000 to some of these pros. Of course it's not good enough. How can it be? Etc.
Yeah. Okay. On the topic of national team, would you want to share a bit on the Malaysian,
Oh.
the recent Malaysian controversy, also
It's
known as
not-
FIFA 7, Malaysia 0.
FIFA 7, it's not a good look. It's not a good look.
It
However,
isn't, yeah.
again, it's one of the things I remember bringing this up when nations first started, when Singapore first started doing it. The idea of being able to naturalize. Oh, you played 5 years, you're Singaporean. No. And it's never sat well with me. Rugby does it, and so you've got South Africans playing for New Zealand, and Japan, 7 New Zealanders playing in their World Cup team. No, that's not what it's about. And so this is an accident that has been waiting to happen. I'm upset that it seems to be Malaysia that it's fallen upon, but it's going to come down to a legal issue. You know, it looks awful from a Malaysia perspective. It looks awful. But legally, these guys are citizens. And so what FIFA are saying is we are able to tell you who you can play, whether they're a citizen or not. And so it's a dreadful optics, as they say in the world. But this is a legal argument that has just been coming, and the fact it's going to the Court of Arbitration, Court of Arbitration for Sport, could be a real wake-up call for FIFA, for football, and for other sports, because literally FIFA have made up. It used to be 7 years before you can become a citizen. Now it's 5. And refugees, refugees, they've got no connection, but a country can give citizenship and they can play for the team. There's just so many dubious legal points that have just distorted this whole sport for years and years and years. I think that this is a natural conclusion to where that is. I'm not saying that it's a good look for Malaysia, but I do think they may well have a very good legal case for them to say these 7 are Malaysian citizens.
And where do you feel the line should be drawn in this case? Naturalization, naturalized players, yes or no?
Parents.
Mixed heritage.
Yeah, if your mum or your dad are from that country, fine, no problem.
Yeah.
I remember when Republic of Ireland would have all kinds of players playing for them. They got away. I was against it then. I was against Ray Houghton, born and bred in Glasgow, of Scottish parents, playing for Republic of Ireland. John Aldridge, as Scouse as you come. I think it's grandparents playing for Republic of Ireland. He loves it. And again, John Wilkinson is as proud a Singaporean as you can possibly have. He's married Singaporean. He's got 4 great kids. He was so thrilled to play for Singapore. And Alexander Djuric, what a terrific example he has been in everything he does. But so they've done it the right way. They've done it legally. But it's never sat comfortably with me. I could never, ever really honestly say, I'm Malaysian. I couldn't. And you're where you're from. And that should be it. And that's quite simple. Sport has this incredible capacity to overcomplicate the simplest things. Let's talk VAR. Let's talk legitimacy. Let's talk goal line technology. Let's talk when you can introduce VAR, when you can't. Let's talk taking the chance to manage a game out of a referee. So they've made something very, very simple. Remember, they used to say football, the simple game, the easiest game. Not anymore. And that is the fault of the people who want to make it perfect. Get out of it.
The governing bodies, you would say.
Governing bodies. I think they're trying to do the right things, but they've complicated something very simple.
On the note of governing bodies, you were working for FIFA as well.
I was contracted not to FIFA, to FIFA Plus. But that needs updating on my LinkedIn. That stopped a while ago. That project has been taken over by a very competent group in Singapore. Right? Yes, down in Singapore. Well, no, DAZN bought the rights to the FIFA Club World Cup, so they're the broadcasters. But FIFA Plus in itself is a platform, and what FIFA Plus are doing, you'll see it more and more leagues will find themselves appearing on FIFA Plus, which may well appear on your smart TV somewhere. It'll become a channel in its own right. Predominantly now, it's free of charge. I suspect at some stage it will become pay-per-view. That's what I was involved in the very early stages. It was fascinating to get the insight. It got me behind the scenes into some of the posh places at the Qatar World Cup. So I got behind the scenes, met some very important and influential people. But no, I'm fully committed now to my commentary and to my training now. So I'll update my LinkedIn. I do apologize.
I would actually, I got to give you a compliment. I don't know how much your role was in it, but I love FIFA Plus because I love watching all the old matches, old World Cup matches, the highlights. You know, they used to do this World Cup films.
Yes.
I love those World Cup films.
It's gold, isn't it? It's glorious. It's gold. It's beautiful stuff. The great 1970. I can watch that 1970 story of the World Cup time and time and time again. Yeah. Oh, good. I'll make sure the boys know that they're doing good work.
Yeah, my first one was 94, so I love watching that over and over again. But of course,
there you go, Raz. Make me feel old again.
At the end, it was a bit tragic for me, but it was still my favorite World Cup.
94. Oh, gosh. Italy. So you're talking so you're a Baggio fan?
Yes, big Baggio fan. My all-time favorite player.
Wow. You ever had a chance to meet him?
Never.
Wow.
Would love to. It's on my bucket list, having a podcast episode with Roberto Baggio.
Wow. Well, ask. Knock on his door. You never know. You never know. If you're not brave, just find out where he is. And I think his English is good. I've heard him in interviews. I think it's his English is.
He doesn't speak English. I think his his daughter translates it for him.
Oh, even better. But be brave, mate. Be brave. Go for it.
Yeah, I'll try. Thanks for the encouragement. I'll go for it.
Much better draw than me.
All right, Des, it's been a wonderful chat with you. We've had a lot of guests on the show. Antonio so far has been the only media professional on the show. Now you're next. Chevy, the late Chevy Singh, he was a professional footballer, also a broadcaster. So my question to you would be, who would you like us to interview next? It can be from your industry as well.
Oh gosh, there's a list there. Dykesy, definitely. I think Dykesy has got a lot of tales to tell from when he went over to London, and
he did. Yeah,
he might be an interesting one to talk to about how the broadcast world in London is changing. Football wise, Djuric. The Djuric story is brilliant.
We are inching towards our 100th episode, so could be that one there.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, thank you very much. I've enjoyed it. You've let me ramble on.
My pleasure.
It's been wonderful. Southeast Asia has just been fabulous. I've the welcome and the commitment to sport from people here has been brilliant. I just wish we could get less politics into our sport.
Okay. Hopefully the passion for football is seen in the local game as well as for the international teams, the European teams. And I would also like to tell our viewers and listeners along the way, there were probably parts where connection got a bit cut off or laggy. This is something I'm going to look at. Go and get in touch with Singtel for it tomorrow. All right, Des. It's been nice chatting with you. Thank you very much for agreeing to be on the episode. Really, really grateful for that.
My pleasure. And good luck for the rest of the series. And well done. If you get up to 100, fantastic. Terima kasih.
Sama-sama. Bye-bye.